So it's
Okay.
not about preferential treatment. It's at least giving them the opportunity to compete. And they then have to compete as everyone else will.
So, so why does the LGBT plus community need a chamber of commerce? Like, what does the chamber actually do for small business owners?
Yeah, our mandate, so we've been around for 20 years. Our mandate has always been to improve the economic opportunities for the 2S LGBTQI plus business community, really to make sure that they have equal opportunities and access to compete just like everyone else. And so, we encourage our businesses to engage and be part of other chambers of commerce and mainstream chambers of commerce. So we're certainly not replacing those other chambers of commerce. But what we're doing is really filling a gap, filling a void where we know that our businesses and the 2S LGBTQI business community don't have those same opportunities in mainstream chambers. So that's really what we're doing, is filling those voids, filling those gaps where some of those other chambers may not be able to support our businesses.
Right. Okay. And I guess like for me, when I'm looking at the LGBT plus community, I feel like it's starting to get a little bit fragmented with, provincial groups, there's nonprofits, there's, regional groups, and there's been kind of a shift from the LGBT plus acronym to now the 2SL LGBTQI plus. Do you feel like
Mhm.
things are kind of getting fragmented and or do you feel that these groups are kind of coming together?
It's a great question. I think that the community is continually evolving, and our goal, and I think in broad, the 2S LGBTQI community continues to make sure that we're including the entire range and the broad range of our community members. And so you mentioned the acronym, and so we just this year evolved our name to now be Canada's 2S LGBTQI plus Chamber of Commerce, moving from LGBT plus chamber. And it really is in terms of that evolution that I mentioned, and really recognizing for us, a big part of it was recognizing our Indigenous community members and making sure that we identify those that identify as Two-Spirit, and putting them at the front of the acronym, and to really recognize that they were here first, and that they are an important part of our community, and recognizing that. And again, adding in Q recently, to recognize our queer community members. So I think it's really about an evolution to make sure that we're continually recognizing all of our community members, making sure that they are included in part of the work that we're doing, and broadly, other civil society organizations are doing. So I don't know if I'd say it's fragmented. I'd actually say it's coming together more, and making sure
Right.
that we're recognizing each and every one of our community members as much as we can.
Okay. No, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't actually know the history of the two spirited and how it actually comes to at first because they were here before us, and that's really interesting. Um, and I know I've spoken to some small business owners, and I think they appreciate the idea of having diversity in their suppliers, and they appreciate that that's quote unquote the right thing to do. But I think I guess for small business owners sometimes it's hard to even just make a profit as a small business owner. Like it's hard
Hmm.
to even get by. And so is this something that's actually for small business owners, like, or is it bigger businesses? Because in some cases it could lead to higher costs or supply chain issues.
So one of our core programs that we run at the chamber is what we call supplier diversity. And so
Hmm.
basically we act as a certifying body for LGBTQ owned businesses. And the reason is we know that LGBTQ businesses are underrepresented in corporate and public supply chain. So we know that, and I say LGBTQ, but also just diverse businesses broadly are
Hmm.
underrepresented in supply chain. And so the goal with supplier diversity is to try to level the playing field here, is try to make sure that we have more diverse businesses that have the opportunity to equally compete for procurement opportunities, um, and to be able to at least help them get their foot in the door. We know that unfortunately many corporations, when they're looking to procure goods and services, they tend to use the same suppliers, the same businesses that they've used year over year over year. And
Hmm.
so what this the program is doing, supply diversity program is doing, is really helping to make sure that corporations are starting to look at and consider other businesses that they may not have looked at before. So it's
Okay.
not about preferential treatment, it's at least giving them the opportunity to compete. And they then have to compete as everyone else will. So in competing on price, on quality, on innovation. But it's that at least that opportunity for them to get that foot in the door, like I mentioned. So supplier diversity really is around creating that, helping to drive economic empowerment for our community by helping them, access opportunities. Then what that's doing is then they're creating employment, they're creating, they're growing the tax base in their local communities. It's helping then the marginalized community members within those other communities. So the impact of supplier diversity is very significant. So I guess back to your question around, we're struggling just to kind of, continue to grow and support our businesses. I think initiatives like this and strategies like this are really important for businesses, for small businesses to be able to continue to grow. And then those businesses that start to look at diversifying their supply chain and looking to engage with other businesses that they typically wouldn't, what that's doing is really twofold. There's that opportunity to make sure, again, as kind of alluded to, helping to support those marginalized and historically underrepresented groups. But there's also a business case for this. We know that the more that you start to diversify your supplier base and your supply chain, what that's doing is it's bringing innovation to your organization, to your company. It's
Right.
bringing
Okay.
different perspectives, different ways to look at problems, and it's also helping to engage then perhaps different customer base as well. So I think that there's I shouldn't say I think there are significant business advantages of why organizations want to diversify their supply chain by bringing in LGBTQ and other diverse owned businesses to their procurement practices. So
Yeah. I,
hopefully
I,
that
I like that.
makes sense. Okay.
I think it does. I mean, I think there's a lot of like unexpected benefits from all of this, right? Like it's kind of getting that diverse opinion or getting kind of just a new perspective from your suppliers on like, hey, why do we do this way or why do we do it that way? And getting kind of like a new perspective that you might not be used to, right? So I think yeah,
It's
that's an interesting point.
Yeah, it's very similar to why we want to have a diverse workforce. We want
Right.
to have diversity within our employees because, again, they're bringing different ways to different perspectives, different ways to approach issues or problems or challenges. And so the same can be said with your suppliers. The more diversity that you're bringing into your supply base, the more creativity, the greater the innovation that you're going to realize
Right.
coming down.